guys, today we're going to basically be solving equations. It's section 4.1 on page 130 called Using Properties of Equations. The first thing it talks about is an inverse operation, an operation that will reverse undo a given operation. So the operation that reverses multiplication is what? Division. The operation that reverses addition is what? Subtraction. Okay, so we're going to be solving equations. The goal with solving equations is always to get the variable by itself. In this example, x plus 10 equals 142. X is not by itself because it has this random plus 10 here. Now, what's the inverse of operation of plus 10? The opposite of plus 10 to get x by itself is to minus 10. But whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other. So we always want to try to get that to 0. Which it is. And then if you minus 10 over here, you're going to get 132. So x equals 132. That means if I take 132 and I go back and substitute it back in for x, 132 plus 10 equals 142. That is correct. Okay, what is the inverse operation of a minus 17? Well, the inverse operation to get x by itself is to add 17 to make that 0. Whatever I do to one side of an equation, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to have x equals, and then I just have to subtract to get negative 18 is my answer. That means if I take negative 18 and I go back and plug it in for x, I do negative 18 plus negative 17 should be negative 35. Okay, what is the operation here that's happening with this x? What do you notice that the operation? It says 3 times x. So what's the inverse of times? We're going to divide because the operation that's the inverse of multiplication is division. The 3's will cancel. 3 divided by 3 is just 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So x equals 3. That means if I go in and plug in x equals 3 here, 3 times 3 is 9. That's correct. Okay, last one here. Well, actually, there's 2 more. This means division right here, so that means I'm dividing x by 5. What's the inverse operation of that? It's multiplication. So if I multiply both sides by 5, 5 times 1, this is technically 1/5. That's going to cancel. I'll be left with x. 21 times 5 is 105. That means if I take 105 and plug it in for x on the original equation, I should get 21. Okay. My last one over here, solve for x when we're using strictly variables. So I have x plus m equals n to solve for x. Let's get the x alone by doing the inverse operation. I can't combine n and m. Those cancel, and I get x equals n minus m. Okay, you guys are going to be doing this. Starts with the easier equations on this page. So you'll be doing page 132 and 133, 1 through 42. Have fun.